and the causes dilemma, which now occupies the minds of all those involved, means that at the moment, my story has no end. That's why I'm making this video, to ensure, in any way possible, that my story has a happy ending with a scheme that fully meets the challenges of climate change. The city is known as the Square Mile. It's a small area where financial organisations drive the UK economy, generating nearly £70 billion in economic output annually. A wander around the city reveals buildings of all ages clustered together in a pattern which derives from its medieval heritage. The city has never been overlaid with a new gridded street pattern. Even after the Great Fire of 1666, Christopher Wren failed to impose an enlightened architectural logic on its streets and alleyways. That's the city's charm, of course. I, for one, would have it no other way. But the city's history does pinpoint the haphazard way by which it has grown and prospered, and for that matter, the similarly haphazard way by which planning decisions are made. So why, after all this time, are these considerations taking on a new significance? A significance where one particular development at London Wall West has become a cause célèbre. As I've already indicated, it's the vicissitudes of climate change and its impact on building that accounts for the city's current dilemma. Bill Gates has stated that how we make things is responsible for a massive 31% of the greenhouse gases emitted into the atmosphere every year. And remember, the construction industry worldwide is responsible for a large proportion of how we make things. As an architect myself, I've noted my profession's current focus on substituting mass timber for high carbon materials like concrete and steel. But ingenious solutions for using a material with less embedded carbon, although much to be admired, can never in themselves generate the radical carbon reductions required worldwide. So what do? An approach to the digital transformation of our cities, as I'm explaining it here, is my answer. You might find my suggestion somewhat alarming, a step into the unexplored territory of virtual reality that you'll be reluctant to take. But I can assure you, I'm not talking dystopian science fiction. I'm talking life-enhancing fact. As in all major cities worldwide, COVID-19 has left a lasting impact on the City of London. The legacy of a new work-life balance adopted during the pandemic means that fewer people commute to the city on a daily basis. Consequently, less space is needed by the current workforce because work is undertaken partly at home. To stem this exodus, a Culture and Commerce Task Force, meeting in 2021 to consider how to fuel the city's creative renewal, defined an urgent need to reanimate the City of London's spaces in unique ways that attract people back and build the connections required internationally for the city to remain a global hub of commerce and become a centre for culture. As a result of this ambitious directive, we can expect to see some spaces currently occupied by commerce becoming affordable workspace and makerspaces to support a mix of growing creative organisations. Similarly, the city's brief to Diller, Scapidio and Renfro, DS&R, architects for London Wall West, required them to give close consideration to providing mixed-use space where the many and various members of the cultural sector can be brought together with their counterparts in the commercial sector in a spirit of partnership and sociability. DS&R's first proposals, containing 2 office towers with little attention paid to culture, have been succeeded by revised suggestions where the voice of culture is made more evident, but not sufficiently to endear the scheme to local residents and workers. Some are very critical of proposals to pull down existing buildings in the knowledge that the construction processes of building new will entail the generation of much greater quantities of embedded carbon. To cut a long story short, the scheme has now become becalmed in a sea of conflict, which is partly of the city's own making, but also caused by external factors that are impacting on every city worldwide seeking to find a way into a post-pandemic future. What's the answer? Do the seeds of resolution exist which will enable the city to resolve its impasse? At this point, I'm turning to the megacities of the Far East to find examples of digital transformation that might offer a way forward for the city. In South Korea and China, to alleviate the difficulties of physical communication in ever-growing megacities, local governments have been motivated to embrace virtual reality. The result is an all-or-nothing approach to digital transformation, which demands that South Korean workers spend all their working time in a virtual world. Employees of Singbag, for instance, a financial company located in Seoul, no longer need to travel to the center, a fact that has helped to generate a more motivated workforce with a lower cost of living and a better quality of life. First signs that the virtual world can be as good, in principle, as life outside in the physical world. By contrast, in the West, I can foresee that individual choice will remain a matter of paramount importance. Our adoption of a new post-pandemic work-life balance requires that we are given the option of deciding for ourselves how much time we want to spend in a virtual world. I'll call this the 50-50 approach to digital transformation. It heralds the dawn of a new everything. In this new dawn, which hasn't yet arrived, we can anticipate artists and architects taking delight in creating a different place, perhaps fantastical, perhaps where we assume bodies that are far from human. David Hockney gives us a foretaste of just such a world as you see here. In a recent London exhibition, he has provided scenes of work and play projected in 3 dimensions. Although not yet fully immersive, they give some indication of a future virtual world taking shape alongside our normal physical world. For the future, we will see this type of virtual world replacing, at least in part, our constructed physical world, where architects and builders are responsible for more and more buildings producing bigger and bigger cities. I think you'll see where I'm going. The construction industry can play a significant part in averting a climate crisis only by building less. A paradox, if ever there was one. By encompassing a building less is more policy, the city can lay claim to becoming a leader in creating a more sustainable future. And the same policy, if adopted by other cities worldwide, will assist significantly in reducing the heavy carbon footprint of construction. Time then to look at the full implications of taking such a fundamental step towards tackling climate change. The making of the virtual world, or metaverse as I'll now call it, is dependent on the development of virtual reality as a tool for social interaction. None of the examples I've given so far come close to matching David Chalmers' forecast of an environment where users will apprehend a virtual world with all their senses, as if they were in the physical world. There's still a long way to go. The technological challenges of reaching this advanced stage are formidable, because the 3-dimensional interactions that we take for granted in the normal physical world are difficult to simulate virtually. But the development of virtualization technology is forging ahead at speed. Bill Gates, for one, believes that a nascent, functioning metaverse will be available within the next 3 to 5 years. It's not too early, therefore, for the city to embrace the metaverse as a way of substantiating its decision to demolish existing buildings at London Wall West. The vacated London Museum structure is overtly idiosyncratic, fit only for the purpose for which it was designed. And Bastion House, to achieve status as a Grade A office, will require the replacement of every element of its fabric and services. A myopic stance towards climate change should never become a reason to retain existing buildings that are no longer fit for purpose. Demolition, not retention, is the way forward, with a watchful eye kept on the city's declared role as a champion of sustainability. Time then is on the city's side, because by the time London Wall West has become a physical reality, the market in virtual real estate will have become fully established. For the city facing an uncertain future, a 50-50 approach to digital transformation will offer the best of both worlds. Fortunately, the DS&R scheme already contains the seeds of its own transformation into a 50-50 world. A glance at the proposed office towers reveals that each is almost a mirror image of the other, a somewhat exceptional circumstance that enables them to be reconfigured as digital twins, one physical, the other virtual. To illustrate the environmental impact of this transformation, I've adjusted one of DS&R's presentation drawings to show how the physical removal of one of the twin towers opens up vistas from a substantially enlarged meadow. By keeping one tower in the physical world, the other becomes its digital twin. This will enable users to move seamlessly between two types of reality as and when they choose. Once implemented, both forms of reality will become the source of substantial rental income for the city. As we all know, real estate on a prime city centre site is a valuable asset, and the value of virtual or unreal estate is now acknowledged by agents as being on a steep upward curve. The considerably reduced carbon footprint of a partially virtualized scheme, which means building less, will set new standards of sustainability not only for the city, but also demonstrate a viable way forward to the rest of the world. The city has taken such bold decisions in the past. Where I live in the Barbican is a fine example, and now the city is faced with an even greater opportunity to set an example to the world. An example which, replicated many times over, might just succeed in saving the planet.